Welcome to Everyday English with Annie. I want you to picture something for a second.
Okay, I'm ready.
So you are wearing this like $3,000 custom Italian suit,
Oh, nice.
right? You own a private jet. You've got this beautiful island summer home, and there's a gleaming red Ferrari just parked in the driveway of your massive mansion.
I mean, that sounds like the absolute dream.
It does. And you are, one of the most distinguished trial lawyers in the entire country. You are arguing the absolute biggest case of your life in this packed, incredibly sweltering courtroom.
Setting the scene, I like it.
But then, right in the middle of a sentence, you collapse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a massive heart attack. You're just squirming on the floor. And you're only 53 years old, but you look like you're in your late 70s.
God, that's the ultimate terrifying wake-up call, right?
Exactly.
Because, while it obviously looks like this sudden medical emergency on the surface, the true crisis that's actually driving that collapse is, well, it's entirely spiritual.
And that is exactly what we are getting into today. We are turning that massive crisis into, essentially, your ultimate guide to finding inner peace.
I love that.
Yeah, so today we are exploring the core lessons from this huge international bestseller, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma.
Such a classic.
It really is. So our mission in this deep dive is to unpack this whole ancient system of self-mastery that this lawyer, his name is Julian Mantle, that he discovered.
Right.
And we're going to break it all down into, actionable English listening practice for you, the listener, so you can pick up on the vocabulary and the flow of these really deep concepts.
Which is so perfect because Julian's realization on that courtroom floor was just, it was profound.
Yeah.
He finally saw that this hyper-competitive, totally out-of-balance lifestyle he was living, it didn't just, destroy his physical heart.
It broke him down completely.
Exactly. It shattered his spirit. So he makes this really radical pivot. He just sells everything.
Wait, everything?
Everything. The mansion, the private jet, and yes, that prized red Ferrari.
Wow.
He sells it all and just treks deep into the Himalayan mountains to seek wisdom from this, mythical band of monks known as the Sages of Savannah.
Okay, so to understand how Julian actually transformed from this completely burnt-out shell of a man into, a vibrant, youthful, energetic monk, we first kind of have to understand the absolute prerequisite for learning anything new.
Oh, this is the teacup story.
Yes.
Right?
So when Julian finally returns to the West, he visits his former colleague, John, who is this really cynical, hardened lawyer.
Kind of like how Julian used to be.
Exactly. So to explain this whole concept of learning to him, Julian starts pouring John a cup of tea. He fills the cup all the way to the brim, but then he keeps pouring.
Just doesn't stop.
No. The hot tea is overflowing onto the saucer. It's spilling all over this really prized, expensive Persian rug.
Oh.
And John is just yelling at him to stop, right? He's like, the cup is already full. No more tea can go in.
It is just such a brilliant, disruptive visual.
It really is.
Because Julian is illustrating a fundamental cognitive block. He just looks at John and says, basically, you are completely full of your own ideas and your own judgments.
Right.
How can any new wisdom possibly go in until you first empty your cup?
It requires having a beginner's mind.
Precisely. It's all about dropping that defensive posture we all carry around.
Yeah, you really can't absorb new strategies for living if you're just, fiercely protecting all your rigid, pre-existing beliefs.
So true. And for you, as the listener, you have to consciously empty your cup today to truly hear this framework.
You really do.
Because the method these sages use to teach it is highly unconventional.
Unconventional is a massive understatement.
It's pretty wild.
It's so weird because once John finally drops his cynicism, Julian reveals how the lead sage, Yogi Raman, taught him these 7 timeless virtues of enlightened living.
Right.
Yogi Raman didn't hand him a textbook or give him a long lecture. He gave him this bizarre fable. It's essentially a mnemonic device.
Memory tool, yeah.
Exactly. But I have to read this setup to you because I genuinely need you to prove to me how this absolute fever dream actually unlocks inner peace.
Okay, lay it on me. Let's hear it.
Okay, so picture this. You are sitting in a magnificent, lush, green garden. Right in the center of this garden is a towering 6-story red lighthouse.
Okay, garden lighthouse. Got it.
Then the door of the lighthouse creaks open and out stumbles a 9-foot-tall, 900-pound Japanese sumo wrestler.
Naturally.
Obviously.
Nice.
And he is completely naked, except for a pink wire cable that's covering his modesty.
So specific.
I know. So he wanders over, he finds a shiny gold stopwatch just lying on the ground, he slips it on, and then he just falls completely unconscious.
So he passes out.
Out cold. And just as you think he's dead, he's suddenly revived by the fragrance of yellow roses.
Yellow roses, okay.
He jumps up, looks to his left, and sees a winding path covered in millions of sparkling diamonds, which he then follows to everlasting joy.
Right. So I will grant you it sounds entirely absurd.
Doesn't seem.
It does. But it is a highly, highly engineered memory tool. Like every single element of that really weird imagery represents a profound, actionable mechanism for self-mastery.
Okay, well, let's break it down. Let's start with the garden.
Sure. So let's start with the magnificent garden, which represents the human mind.
The mind. Okay.
If you actively care for a garden, it blossoms. But if you let toxic waste and weeds take root, the whole thing is ruined.
I mean, nobody in their right mind would just pour toxic waste all over their prized petunias.
You'd think so. Yet every single day, people let toxic waste like worries, anxieties, brooding over past arguments, they just let it pour directly into the fertile garden of their minds.
That's a really good point.
Did you know the average person has about 60,000 thoughts a day?
Wait, 60,000?
Yeah, around that. But what is truly staggering, just from a biological perspective, is that 95% of those thoughts are the exact same thoughts they had the day before.
Oh, wow. So we are just, like, looping the same anxieties over and over, especially today, right? With social media algorithms that are literally designed to feed us endless negativity, we are essentially weaponizing those 60,000 thoughts against ourselves.
We really are, and it's a biological default, honestly. Our brains are wired for survival, which means they're constantly scanning the environment for threats.
Always looking for the negative.
Right. But to actually master your mind, you have to sort of stand guard at the gate of your garden and actively pull out those mental weeds.
But how do we actually do that in practice? Because if I am stuck in awful traffic, right, and I'm running late for a critical meeting, my brain is naturally going to start producing those toxic weeds of stress. I can't just tell my brain to, like, be quiet.
No, you definitely can't. It doesn't work that way. But the sages offer this technique, and they call it opposition thinking.
Opposition thinking.
Yeah. It relies on the neurological fact that the conscious mind can literally only hold one thought at a time.
Really? Just one?
Just one conscious thought, yeah. So if a negative thought enters, you forcefully, and I mean immediately, replace it with a positive one.
Oh, interesting.
Over time, thanks to neuroplasticity, you actually weaken the neural pathways of anxiety, and you strengthen the pathways of optimism.
Okay, so instead of sitting in traffic thinking, like, oh my gosh, my boss is going to kill me, my entire day is ruined,
Right.
I actively force a thought like, hey, I have 20 minutes of uninterrupted quiet time to listen to an audiobook.
That is the exact mechanism in action.
Wow.
There is this great story Julian shares about Malika Chand, who was this really beloved school teacher in Calcutta.
Oh, yeah, I remember this from the text.
Right. Her school, which she absolutely loved, tragically burned down to the ground one night.
Which is just devastating.
Completely. The whole community just fell into this absolute apathy. But Malika used opposition thinking. She refused to let that tragedy become a weed in her mind.
So what did she do?
She looked at the ashes and she literally said, the old school was decrepit and the roof leaked anyway. This is our chance to build a much better one.
That is such a powerful reframe.
And she rallied the community and did exactly that. Built a better school.
And there's another technique for the mind mentioned in the material too, right? The heart of the rose.
Yes, the heart of the rose.
It's where you stare into the center of a fresh rose in a quiet place every day.
Right.
And the book mentions that at first, your mind will wander 100 times, but you just keep bringing your focus back to the petals, the color, the texture.
Which is essentially strength training for your attention span.
Like lifting weights for your brain.
Exactly. By forcing your brain to focus on a single, beautiful object, you are physically rewiring your attentional control. You are training that neural muscle that decides what gets led into your mental garden.
Okay, but pulling weeds and having this empty, pristine mind, that isn't enough on its own, is it?
No, it's not.
Because an empty mind without any real direction is just going to start growing weeds again the second a new stressor pops up.
Exactly. Nature abhors a vacuum.
We need a focal point to steer toward. Which explains why right in the middle of that pristine garden from our weird little fable, there is a towering red lighthouse.
Ah, yes, the lighthouse. So this symbolizes Dharma, which is the Sanskrit word for your life's purpose.
Your life's purpose.
It stands for the principle that inner peace isn't just about, sitting passively under a tree doing nothing.
Right.
True, lasting happiness comes from steadily working to accomplish your goals and advancing confidently in the direction of your life's purpose.
Okay, I have to admit, I kind of struggle with this part.
How so?
Well, aren't monks supposed to detach from earthly desires? Like setting aggressive goals and focusing on achievement? It just feels completely contradictory to the whole idea of a peaceful sage meditating in the Himalayas.
That is a very, very common misconception in the West.
Is it?
Yeah, because it is really easy to confuse true achievement with the kind of frenetic, stress-inducing work that we are used to.
Ah, I see.
The sages are definitely not advocating for that soul-crushing corporate grind that caused Julian's heart attack in the first place.
Good, because that clearly didn't work for him.
Exactly. They are saying that the biological and spiritual source of happiness is actually fulfilling your unique, heroic mission. If you don't have a lighthouse, a really clear, defined purpose, how do you even know where to steer your ship?
You don't. You just kind of drift, right?
You drift and you crash against the rocks of daily distractions. The sages set clear goals to align their daily actions with their ultimate calling, not just to feed their egos or get rich.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Which brings up the actual physical act of writing those goals down.
Yes, highly recommended.
The instruction is to physically put your desires on paper. And I always just thought that was like a nice motivational trick, like making the vision board. But there is actual neuroscience behind it.
There really is. It involves this network in your brain called the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
Right, the RAS.
So your brain constantly filters out literally millions of sensory data points every single second, just so you don't get completely overwhelmed.
Because if we noticed everything, we'd go crazy.
We couldn't function. But when you physically write down a goal, you are forcing your RAS to tag that specific concept as vital for your survival.
Wow.
You are literally programming your biological filter to spot opportunities in your environment that you would have otherwise completely ignored.
So the lighthouse gives us the destination, and writing it down actually programs our brain to find the route.
You got it.
But just knowing the destination doesn't mean you are actually moving toward it. Like, action is required.
Right.
Which suddenly makes the 9-foot-tall, 900-pound Japanese sumo wrestler stumbling out of the lighthouse make a lot more sense.
Exactly. So the sumo wrestler symbolizes this Japanese concept of kaizen, which basically translates to constant and never-ending improvement.
Constant improvement.
Yeah. The idea is that success on the outside begins with success on the inside. You cannot improve your external, like your career or your relationships, without first relentlessly improving yourself.
And the framework uses these, the 10 rituals of radiant living to practice this kaizen.
Right. The 10 rituals.
And solitude is a major one in there. Taking a daily pit stop for the soul. Just like 15 to 50 minutes of absolute silence to just let the lake of your mind become perfectly smooth.
It's so vital. And then there's the ritual of personal reflection.
Oh, I like this one.
It's great. Think of Benjamin Franklin, right? He would retreat every single evening to review his day in granular detail.
Really dissect it.
Yeah, asking himself stuff like, did I snap at the barista today? Did I procrastinate on that important project?
Just evaluating.
It leverages that unique human ability to step outside of ourselves and really analyze our actions, because you cannot course correct if you are totally blind to your own daily missteps.
Right. Now, the ritual that really rattles my empty cup, though, is the ritual of early awakening.
Waking up early.
Rising with the sun. Yeah. Getting up at 5 a.m. when you're used to, say, 8:00 a.m. I mean, it feels like trying to write a letter with your non-dominant hand.
It's rough at first.
It is. The neural pathways just aren't there. Your brain and your body just physically resist that unfamiliar circuitry.
Oh, absolutely. It is going to feel incredibly uncomfortable because your body is just craving its baseline homeostasis. It wants what it's used to.
It wants sleep.
Right. But pain is often the biological precursor to personal growth. And this framework introduces the ancient rule of 21.
Okay, what's that?
It basically states that it takes 21 days of concentrated energy to form a new neural pathway. So to make that 5 a.m. wake up as automatic as brushing your teeth, you just have to get through those 21 days.
Man, pushing through that 21-day barrier requires some serious willpower, though.
It does.
Which brings us to what the sumo wrestler's wearing, right?
Yeah.
The pink wire cable. And I got to say, at first glance, a cable doesn't really make sense to me. Because when I think of willpower, I picture like a solid iron bar. you know,
Mm-hmm.
something rigid and just unbreakable. A wire cable feels a little too flexible.
Keep going with that thought.
Actually, wait. Is it because a cable is made of hundreds of tiny individual threads woven together?
You've hit the exact mechanism.
Oh, wow.
Think about how a wire cable is actually manufactured. Alone, each individual little wire is super flimsy and weak. You could just snap it with your bare hands.
Right. It's just a thin wire.
But when those tiny wires are placed one on top of the other and woven really tightly together, they form a cable that is actually stronger than iron.
That's a great analogy.
Willpower functions through the exact same psychological mechanism.
So you don't just like magically conjure an iron will overnight.
Nobody does. You build it through tiny daily acts of discipline.
Like the little wires.
Yes. Getting out of bed just an hour earlier, choosing to walk instead of driving, or just making your bed meticulously every morning. Over time, those tiny, seemingly insignificant wires forge this completely unbreakable cable of self-control.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And to help weave that cable, there was a specific mantra suggested in the book that you're supposed to repeat 30 times a day.
Yes, mantra.
It goes, I am more than I appear to be. All the world's strength and power rests inside me.
It's very empowering.
Yeah. And if you repeat that while actually visualizing yourself acting with discipline, it apparently shifts your entire self-image. Like,
Yeah.
you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances, and you stop being a slave to your weaker impulses.
And that discipline is absolutely essential because it's what allows you to control your actions. But, to truly master your life, you must master the ultimate finite resource that bounds literally everything you do.
Okay, the next item in the fable.
Right. In our fable, the sumo wrestler finds a shiny gold stopwatch on the ground.
Time. Because we all get the exact same 24 hours, whether we are, a billionaire trial lawyer or a baker.
Exactly. Time mastery is life mastery. It is actually fascinating how the busiest, most high-achieving people are very often the most efficient.
Because they have to be, right?
They have to be. But the trap for the average person is getting caught in what the sages call the thick of thin things.
The thick of thin things. I like that.
Yeah, and this brings in the ancient rule of 20, which is widely known in business as the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule.
Oh, I've heard of this.
It states that 80% of your meaningful results come from just 20% of your activities.
That is just a ruthless mathematical reality.
It really is.
The challenge, I guess, is that we let these time thieves steal that vital 20%.
Yes, the time thieves.
Like the phantom buzz of a smartphone, or those endless chains of reply-all emails, or, the gossiping coworker. If you don't actively plan your week and ruthlessly say no to the things that don't align with your lighthouse, your purpose, your time just evaporates.
It just slips through your fingers like grains of sand. And honestly, no amount of wealth or status can buy even 1 second of it back.
That's a sobering thought.
But once you have mastered your time and you've built your discipline, you suddenly have this surplus energy and capacity for the next crucial phase.
Right, because our sumo wrestler, after fainting, is revived by the smell of fragrant yellow roses.
Yes.
So the yellow roses symbolize the principle of selflessly serving others. And there is an ancient Chinese proverb used here that I really love. It says, a little bit of fragrance always clings to the hand that gives you roses.
It's beautiful.
It means that when you elevate someone else's life, you just inherently elevate your own.
And there is a really powerful story shared in the book to illustrate this kind of deep compassion.
Oh, the grandmother story.
Yes. It's about this old grandmother whose husband dies, so she has to go live with her son, his wife, and their little girl.
Okay.
But, she's older, her hands shake, she drops her peas on the floor, she spills her soup all over the table.
It happens.
Right. But the parents grow intensely annoyed by the mess, so they actually set up this tiny, cheap table for her over by the broom closet.
Oh, that's awful.
They force her to eat completely alone, isolated in the corner, while they just dine at the main table.
It's just a heartbreaking visual. But
Yeah.
then, one day, the father sees his little girl playing with some building blocks on the floor.
Right.
And he asks her what she is making.
Mm-hmm.
And she just looks up and says, I'm building a little table for you and Mother so you can eat by yourselves in the corner someday when I get big.
It gives me chills every time.
I know.
The parents just weep, and they bring the grandmother back to the main table immediately.
Now, I understand the compassion aspect of this, obviously, but honestly, I struggle a little bit with how focusing on others brings inner peace to yourself.
How so?
I always just default to that airplane oxygen mask rule, like secure your own mask before assisting others.
Sure.
If I am giving all my time and energy away to my community, aren't I just going to burn out exactly like Julian Mantle did?
It's a highly logical concern, it really is. But the framework is talking about a fundamental paradigm shift here. They call it shedding the shackles of self.
Shedding the shackles of self.
See, if your entire life is solely dedicated to just accumulating wealth or prestige or comfort for yourself, you remain trapped in this endless, anxiety-inducing loop of more. Your ego just becomes this fragile thing that you have to constantly protect.
Oh, so true inner peace requires stepping out of that isolated ego.
Exactly. Yes. When you see yourself as part of the collective, your daily actions just take on a much deeper, more resilient meaning.
Right.
Even small things, like letting a really stressed driver merge in front of you in traffic or just giving a sincere compliment to a cashier, it shifts your psychological focus.
You stop being a stressed out note of self-interest.
Precisely. You become a conduit for something much larger. And remember, you've already secured your oxygen mask through the discipline of Kaizen and that pink wire cable. Now, breathing life into others is what actually sustains your own vitality.
A little bit of fragrance always clings to the hand that gives you roses. It makes perfect sense now.
It really does.
And by serving others and letting go of the ego, our vision finally clears up.
Yeah.
We can actually see what is right in front of us, which is exactly what happens to the sumo wrestler, right?
Yes, the final symbol.
Revived by the roses, he looks down and he realizes he's actually walking on a winding path of sparkling diamonds.
The path of diamonds, it symbolizes the final virtue, which is embracing the present moment.
Embracing the present.
Happiness is a journey. It is not a destination. You cannot put off living your life until you hit a certain financial milestone or until you get that next promotion or, until the kids finally graduate.
There is a quote from this section. Live your children's childhood.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And that phrase just stopped me in my tracks. It made me look critically at my own habits, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just yesterday, I was at my kid's soccer game, and I spent half the time checking my phone, stressing over some work email that absolutely could have waited until Monday morning.
We all do it.
We do. I was physically sitting on the bleachers, but mentally, I was entirely missing the diamonds that were scattered on the grass right in front of me. We spend so much energy chasing this elusive pot of gold on the horizon that we just ignore the path we are walking on right now.
It is the human condition, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We expend just an exorbitant amount of energy acting as prisoners of our past, like regretting mistakes or worrying about a future that hasn't even happened yet.
Right.
But the sages of Savannah mastered the art of living in the now. They found immense sustainable joy in just a simple sunbeam or a starry night. They really understood that today is a gift.
We have to stop being prisoners of our past and become architects of our future.
Well said.
So let's just recap this incredibly practical framework for our listeners.
Let's do it.
We started by emptying our cup so we can actually learn. Then we learned to master our mind, which is the magnificent garden, by actively using opposition thinking to replace the weeds of negativity. Then we found our purpose. That's the towering lighthouse. And we programmed our reticular activating system to steer toward it. We committed to Kaizen, the sumo wrestler of continuous self-improvement.
Love the sumo wrestler.
We wove the tiny threads of daily discipline to build that pink wire cable of willpower. We mastered our finite time with the gold stopwatch.
We embraced selfless service, giving away the yellow roses.
And finally, we opened our eyes to the present moment, walking the path of diamonds.
It really is a comprehensive, totally interconnected architecture for a life well lived. Every single step relies on the one right before it, moving you from a state of mere existence to a state of profound thriving.
It's beautiful. And I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to really mull over today.
Okay.
The sages believed that a day without laughter or love was a day without life. So if you were to conduct the ritual of personal reflection tonight, if you were to sit down like Benjamin Franklin and audit your last 24 hours in granular detail, did you actually live today or did you just exist?
That is the ultimate diagnostic test for inner peace right there.
How many diamonds did you walk right past today because you were too busy staring at the horizon? Remember Julian Mantle. Don't wait for a massive heart attack on a courtroom floor to realize you have been putting off your own happiness. Look at the path beneath your feet. The diamonds are already there.